Marcel Proust, Swann's Way, In Search of Lost Time, Number 1. Swann's Way is the first volume of Marcel Proust's masterpiece, In Search of Lost Time, a literary symphony that delves deep into the complexities of memory, love, and the passage of time. The novel recounts the narrator's childhood in Cambrai and his exploration of the world of Parisian salons. Through the prism of the protagonist's experiences, readers encounter an array of unforgettable characters, such as Charles Swann, Odette, and the enigmatic Baron de Charlis. The narrative tackles themes of art, homosexuality, and the feudal nature of human relationships, all set against the backdrop of the Belle Époque in France. Prepare to join Marcel on a journey through memory, loss, and self-discovery, as he examines his own history and the lives of those around him.
Proust's childhood memories. Marcel Proust's childhood memories are triggered by the taste of a Madeleine cake dipped in tea. He recalls the drama of bedtime, the colorful garden flowers, and the scent of hawthorn hedges on his summer strolls. During one of those summers, he meets Gilberte Swann, the daughter of their family friend. The book also recounts the love story of Gilberte's parents, Swann and Odette. Swann's obsession with Odette leads to fits of jealousy, fueled by hints of her affairs. However, their happiness is short-lived, and Swann eventually realizes he was once in love with her. An ill-fated journey on the path to love. Marcel Proust's In Search of Lost Time follows the life of Marcel and his relationships with others. After experiencing his first love with Gilberte, Marcel realizes she is not the woman for him. He then sets his sights on the upper class, but he again finds himself lost in love with a woman who ultimately rejects him. Marcel's love and life in Paris. Marcel, a few years later, moves with his family to an apartment next to the Duke and Duchess de Guermantes. He falls in love with the Duchess, but his attempts to impress her fail. Marcel goes to a reception at Madame de Villeparis's salon, and Jewish friend Bloch sparks debates on the Jewish officer Alfred Dreyfus, who faces accusations of high treason, revealing most attendees' antisemitism. Marcel's grandmother suffers a fatal stroke, and after weeks of decline, she dies. Albertine comes for a visit, with Marcel losing interest in her while the Duchess invites him to her salon, which turns out to be a letdown. The highborns converse idly and have a fossilized artistic taste. The Duchess's famed wit appears forced, and it works only at the expense of others. Marcel's eye-opening insights. Marcel's understanding of homosexuality evolves as he witnesses the interactions of gay men and women around him. At the reception hosted by the Prince de Guermantes, Marcel is surrounded by antisemitism and feels bored. He realizes that signs of homosexuality exist in most people. In Balbec, Marcel meets Albertine and becomes suspicious of her relationship with her girlfriend. He eventually grows tired of her but changes his mind upon hearing of her friendship with two lesbians. Marcel becomes aware of the struggles faced by homosexuals and perceives the similarities to the fate of the Jews. Marcel's obsession. Marcel struggles to write, while becoming increasingly possessive and jealous of his girlfriend, Albertine. He moves in with her to keep a closer eye on her, but their relationship becomes tumultuous. Marcel forbids Albertine from attending a musical evening, which he ends up attending himself. He speaks with the Baron de Charlis, who reveals that he expected Vinteuil's lesbian daughter, whom Marcel now assumes to be Albertine, to be attending. Marcel confronts Albertine, and their arguments escalate. Despite threats of breaking up, they reconcile before Marcel decides to travel to Venice alone. However, when he wakes up, he discovers Albertine has already left him, leaving their future uncertain. Marcel's journey of love and loss. Marcel finds himself trapped in the past as he tries to understand the reason behind Albertine's abrupt departure. As he unravels the truth behind her life, he uncovers unsettling secrets that threaten to shatter his worldview. Marcel's world comes crashing down when he receives news of Albertine's death. Despite his initial numbness, he becomes plagued by jealous suspicions, causing him to delve into her past. He discovers that Albertine may have been involved in scandalous public baths and riverbank orgies with older women and young laundresses. But can he trust this information? As Marcel tries to overcome his grief, he learns of André's hidden relationship with Albertine. However, the ultimate reason for Albertine's departure was Marcel's inability to marry her and save her from her sinful life. His journey to Venice and subsequent indifference towards Albertine's memory forces him to question his former convictions. Marcel's exploration of love, loss, and self-discovery leads him to discoveries about his closest acquaintances. The once romantic Saint Loup marries for money and reveals his homosexuality, while Gilbert's previously misunderstood invitation calls Marcel's past actions into question. As Marcel navigates his past mistakes and turbulent emotions in the aftermath of Albertine's death, he discovers that life is unpredictable and full of surprises. Marcel's revelations. After years in a sanatorium, Marcel returns to Paris to find the war has changed everything. He witnesses the disturbing practices of the Baron de Charlis and gains a new perspective on the nature of time and memory. Marcel resolves to begin writing his novel but realizes he knows nothing of his trade and time is running out. He attends a party where he sees his aged acquaintances and resolves to give them their place in time through his writing. Marcel has spent several years at a sanatorium and returns to Paris in 1916 to find that everything and everyone have changed due to the war. The once reviled Madame Verdurin now commands high society as the plush Princess de Guermantes. Her husband, the Prince de Guermantes, whom the war has financially ruined, is no longer wealthy. Marcel's childhood acquaintance, Saint Loup, has died in combat, and Gilbert, his love interest, writes him a letter full of despair, mourning the loss of their beloved landscapes. One night, walking through Paris during a blackout, Marcel gives in to his curiosity and steps into a seemingly popular hotel room. There he witnesses the horrifying practices of the Baron de Charlis, who is fettered to the bed and covered in blood while being tormented by his tormentor. Jupien enters and manages the male brothel, handling the Baron's complaints about his tormentor. Marcel realizes that his involuntary, sensual memories have one thing in common: they merge the past with the present, offering him a vantage point outside of time to see and relish the true nature of things. He understands that as a writer, he must decipher the symbols from deep within himself while searching for the truth, showing the connection between things, and making them accessible to others through his unique style. However, he does not know anything about his trade and is almost at the point of death. At a party thrown by the Prince de Guermantes, Marcel sees his acquaintances from his childhood, all of whom have aged beyond recognition and are afflicted with geriatric trembling. Marcel senses that time is running out, and he has one goal: to give his memories a place in time through his writing. Marcel's Revelations explores themes of time, war, and memory through a captivating narrative of Marcel's journey to understand the nature of reality and begin writing his novel. His experiences provide insight into the ways that traumatic events, like war, strip away the illusions we cling to in daily life, revealing the fragility of reality and memory. With a unique talent for symbols and making connections between things, Marcel's return to Paris after years in a sanatorium forces him to see the world anew, and his revelations form the foundation for his literary triumphs. Marcel Proust's In Search of Lost Time, a Literary Symphony. Marcel Proust's In Search of Lost Time is a masterful literary symphony in 7 volumes. The opening volume sets the central themes and introduces the literary device of involuntary memory triggered by sensory cues. The narrator varies and recomposes the motifs throughout different situations and life stories, leading up to a powerful final dance at the Old People's Ball in the last volume. Proust's vivid word paintings of landscapes and beach scenes mimic the works of Impressionist masters like Boudin, Manet, and Monet, while his portraits of characters like Albertine and the aged society in the closing scene are reminiscent of Cubist and Futurist artists of the time. Proust's excessive, nested, and breathless phrases, despite his asthma, reflected how he spoke. He is known for producing some of the longest sentences in French literature. In Search of Lost Time is a literary masterpiece that readers of all ages can enjoy. In Search of Art and Identity. In his novel, In Search of Lost Time, Proust explores the role of memory in art and the complexities of human identity. He distinguishes between deliberate and involuntary memory, emphasizing the latter's value in generating spontaneous inspiration. The novel also delves into the futility of objective thought and its impact on human relationships, specifically examining Marcel's inability to truly know Albertine. Proust draws on his own experiences as a closeted homosexual and a person of Jewish heritage, highlighting the stigma he associates with both. The novel features a masterful combination of autobiography and fiction, with many characters and events based on real-life counterparts. As an author, Proust advocates for art that goes beyond surface-level reality and involves the creative synthesis of common elements through metaphors and beautiful style. He also offers a nostalgic yet ironic commentary on the end of the Belle Époque, satirizing the narrow-mindedness of the upper-middle classes and lamenting the decline of the aristocracy before World War I. The glittering world of Belle Époque France. In Search of Lost Time captures the extravagant Belle Époque period in France when the upper-middle class relished newfound riches due to the Second Industrial Revolution. Marcel Proust provides an insightful account of the shifting societal values and ephemeral fin de siècle mood that alternated between anticipation of the future and existential dread. The book reflects the transformations that science and technology brought about in the late 19th century, including the advent of automobiles, telephones, and airplanes. The opening of the Eiffel Tower during the 1889 World's Fair was emblematic of the era's exuberance, extravagance, and excess. The artistic circles saw rebellion against traditional norms as the dandies of the time devoted themselves to an indulgent lifestyle, drug abuse, and liberated sexuality. Proust captures the essence of this epoch that served as a prelude to the devastating World War I that erupted in 1914. Proust's writing Odyssey. Proust's masterpiece, In Search of Lost Time, was a result of his unending writing process, influenced by personal life events and World War I. Starting in 1909, Proust recalled the Proustian moment of tasting a Madeleine cake dipped in tea, which became the inspiration for his novel. Initially, he planned to write the novel in 2 volumes, but it expanded beyond that. As World War I broke out, the project was put on hold. Also, personal events, like the death of his secretary who inspired a character's development, caused Proust to create an entirely new narrative. Proust continued to revise and alter drafts, sometimes cutting and pasting passages, and the final volumes were not complete. He wrote until his death in 1922, and the novel is a testament to his manic creative process, with inconsistencies and incomplete sentences. Proust's life and dedication to his art are apparent in the many versions of his masterpiece. Proust's literary journey. Follow the story of Marcel Proust's masterpiece, In Search of Lost Time, from its controversial beginnings to its pop cultural fame today. Marcel Proust's In Search of Lost Time was deemed incomprehensible by readers upon the publication of its 7 volumes in Paris between 1913 and 1927. Despite this, Proust won the prestigious Prix Goncourt in 1919 for In the Shadow of Young Girls in Flower, though his contemporaries remained divided on his work. Left-wing avant-garde critics dismissed him as an idle snob, while right-wing conservatives criticized his candid portrayal of homosexuality, seeing his novel as degenerate literature. Today, In Search of Lost Time is regarded as the most important literary work of the 20th century, having undergone a Proust revival in the past decades. The infamous Monty Python sketch about a Proust summarizing competition helped introduce the work to pop culture, leading to adaptations such as Volker Schlondorff's Swann in Love, Alain de Botton's tongue-in-cheek self-help book How Proust Can Change Your Life, and Stephen Hewitt's graphic novel adaptation. The novel's influence even extended to film adaptations such as Raoul Ruiz's Time Regained, Chantal Akerman's The Captive, and Nina Compagnie's 2-part French TV movie covering all 7 volumes. Follow the journey of Marcel Proust's masterpiece and its impact on literature and pop culture.
Swann's Way, as the overture to Marcel Proust's brilliant In Search of Lost Time, leaves an indelible impression on readers. The novel journeys through the landscapes of memory, mixing reality and fiction to provide a profound exploration of love, loss, and the sense of self. The various themes and motifs of the story, art making through active memory, fragmentation of human relationships, and the struggle to understand one's own identity, resonate deeply, conveying the beauty of searching for meaning in the seemingly mundane. Proust's unparalleled craftsmanship demonstrates the importance of unraveling life's complexities through the lens of introspection. Ultimately, Swann's Way stands out as a seminal work that invites readers to consider the fundamental questions of life and the importance of deciphering the truths hidden within our own memories.